This year has been a year of revelation. Yes, I'm going to take it back to my Louisiana roots and say revelation. Okay? I get home from work. I'm scrolling. I see that Raheem Shabazz posted racist Christian TV station slammed over Pimp and black clergy hoes picture. Oh, you got to see this for yourself. Oh, yeah. Okay. Let's read this article from the Christian Post. Black clergy calls for boycott of Word Network after white owner is accused of racial insensitivity. Okay. So before we even get into this, do you guys remember in a couple of posts, it wasn't even that long ago, I said that I'm not here to switch your religion, to get you to not believe in your religion, whatever your religion may be. I'm not here for that. I'm trying to unite us all against our common enemy, which is white supremacy. No matter who you pray to, white supremacy is your enemy if you are black, right? And I said that I also went on to say that I was trying to show the hypocrisy within the white Christian community. So let's move along. More than 100 prominent black clergy have signed a petition calling for a boycott of the Word Network after Kevin Adell, the network's white owner and CEO, was accused of racial insensitivity. Recently, his actions have shown that even though he has profited, I'm going to say that again, even though he has profited off of the black community, Mr. Adell does not have regard for the black community. This is your Christian leaders. The petition has garnered more than 3,000 signatures in 6 days. The World Network is billed as the largest African American religious network in the world. I'm going to say that again. The World Network is billed as the largest African American religious network in the world. You see, white supremacy is even profiting off of you while you're praying. Among the protesting preachers are Archbishop E. Bernard Jordan of Zoe Ministries. Full disclosure, I've been to his church. Now, I was a minor, of course, when I was there. And his church was really small at the time. But I've heard him preach. Let's keep going. Pastor Deborah Jordan of Zoe Ministries. Pastor Larry Reed of Larry Reed Live. Vicky Yohe, our Christian recording artist. Paul Crouch, I've heard most of these names, of Impact Network. Lisa Sharon Harper from Freedom Rose, and the Reverend Anita Faye Wilson, Apostle Travis Wright, the Reverend Yolanda Brown of Center of Destiny Ministries, and the Reverend Peter Heltzel. Okay. At the center of the allegations against Adell is Bishop George Bloomer, 56, a longtime televangelist and founder of the Bethel Family Worship Center, a multicultural ministry in Durham, North Carolina. The petition alleges that Bloomer recently left the network as a result of allegations against Adell. Bloomer alleges that in September. Oh, okay, this September. Okay. It wasn't that long ago. I was going to say how they waited for all the way from last September. Bloomer alleges that September, Adell texted a Photoshop image of himself dressed as a pimp, surrounded by well-known black clergy he called his hoes, to various staff members, many of whom are black. So not only did he not give a fuck about calling the preachers hoes, but he didn't even have the decency to hide it from y'all. He put it in your face. He said, Trump's president now. I ain't got to lie to you niggas. Many of whom, very staff members, many of whom are black. Bloomer was included in the text. When Bishop Bloomer stated, "This is not funny. This is not good. That pimp and hoe talk has racist connotations for black people." Here's my thing, black people. Why do you feel the need to educate the people who started racism on what racism is? We would not have these feelings of things of white people and the pimps and the hoes and how that affects us if they didn't do it. So why are you trying to teach the creators of racism about racism. They know. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They know. Maybe he just doesn't know. I gotta tell him. Adell texted Bishop Bloomer a second time and said, it's funny and he should get over it. The petition said, see, it's funny. I said it's funny, nigga. Bloomer then went to Adell and his assistant in person at the Word Network and told them, don't ever tweet that. You should get rid of it. This is not funny. Don't play with this and don't play with me. Rather than apologizing, Adell allegedly photoshopped a picture of Bishop Bloomer in a white tuxedo in the image and added a text underneath that said, the show last night was good, tattoo. The dwarf from Fantasy Island who ran around calling Mr. Rourke boss. Okay, so I know a lot of y'all is mad young because that's even older. That's before me. But I do know what they referencing because I've seen the reruns. So I'm going to show you real fast.
Our guests are arriving on time, to the second.
They always do. And you always act like it's a miracle.
My dear Tattoo, when each guest is paying $50,000 for a 3-day stay on Fantasy Island, he or she deserves miracles.
Right, boss?
Oh yeah, that's racist as hell. Kevin Adell was alluding to Bishop Bloomer being his tattoo and him being his boss. Although Mr. Rourke on Fantasy Island was a good character, the term boss in the black community carries the connotation of massa. And that is precisely what Kevin Adell was suggesting. I'm glad he finally, see, he had to put it in his face plain for him to really, really get it. Because at first he thought he was educating him and teaching him something new. Like he didn't know what he was, Mr. Adell didn't know that he was being racist. Child, please. Okay, the article accompanied the Photoshop image of Kevin as a pimp and his hoes referred to him as massa, the Word Network petition said. When Bloomer pushed back warning Adell that this is not good, I don't know what you're doing, but stop playing, Adell replied, oh, you're too sensitive. This disagreement over the image ended with Bloomer's decision to leave the network, the Word Network. Well, at least he left. During these times of increased incidents of hate across our country, we as the African-American clergy and allies of the African-American community cannot remain silent in the face of this blatant racism. Oh, finally. Blackface, pimp and hoe imagery, boss, aka massa comments are all connected to the historical trauma of African Americans have endured for 400 years in this country, the petition explained. To ignore Bishop Bloomer's respectful request to end this line of text and comments to ignore the dignity of the African American community. You know what? With that statement being said, I wonder had we even heard any of this if the preacher had just decided and apologized and said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean nothing by it. I bet you we wouldn't be hearing nothing about this. They would have accepted that forgiveness. They would have gave him some forgiveness. And they gave him a hug and kept on working with that racist son of a bitch. Forgive me, Christians. My mouth is terrible. If the black community is not respected by the Word Network, then we should pull our support from this network. It continued. The actions of Kevin Adell prove that we can no longer trust the Word Network to bring the gospel into our homes. We as black clergy demands Kevin Adell publicly apologize to... I'm going to play Neely Fuller again.
If you ask for an apology, it doesn't mean anything when you get it. The white supremacists will say, hey, you want an apology for slavery? You want an apology for, me mistreating you today? And for all the mistreatment I'm going to dump on you tomorrow? And what you want out of it is an apology? Well, boy, gal, that's what they call us. Hey, if that's all you want, how many do you want? I got truckloads of apologies.
Right.
I got warehouses full of apologies. I mean, you just think you want them in pastel colors or whatnot, you know? You want them in big letters? You want them in small letters? You want them in ancient print? You want them in, hey, do you want an apology in Swahili? I got them. Hey, you know, line up, get your kitty cloth and all like that, you know? I'll shake your hand and apologize. I mean, you know, hey, you want tears to go along with it? I got them. Boy, do I ever have them. All right? I hope people get the point.
Yes.
We as black clergy demand Kevin Adell publicly apologize to Bishop Bloomer and the African American community. We also demand that the cable companies drop the word network from their packages. Now that's a good one. When asked about the allegations Thursday, a representative of the Word Network said that Adell was not immediately available to speak, and no one else of the organization could respond. I bet they couldn't. In a Facebook Live broadcast Tuesday, Jamal Bryant, the leader of a popular New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Stonecrest, Georgia, that was a mouthful, confirmed that Bloomer had shared his concerns about Adell with him shortly after the alleged racial incident unfolded. He said he'd offered to mediate the situation and went to the Word Network to meet with Adell. I go in and talk to Mr. Adell, find out what happened, says all that Bishop Bloomer wants is two things. He wants a letter saying that he operated in utmost integrity, and number two, that he has no misappropriation of funds, said Bryant. Mr. Adell says, no, I'm not going to write this letter because I didn't put anything out. I haven't said anything in a public space, and since we have a bumping of heads. So for the last 10 days, I have been silent watching this blowout, he said. Bryant then noted that when he was approached about the boycott of the network, he thought about many things, including the fact that 147 of the network's 150 employees are black. He further pointed out that David Sheffield, the network's general manager and a black man who turned 40, is the youngest president of any network, secular or sacred. I said, now my mentor, Reverend Al Sharpton, is on the radio station owned by Word Network. You see this shit? Al Sharpton is on the radio station owned by the Word Network Monday through Friday, 3 to 6. He said, noting how the network is now in a correctional facilities, reaching people with the gospel. The epiphany dawned on me yesterday while I'm sitting in the pulpit of Martin Luther King Jr. The Spirit said to me, Jamal, you are in Montgomery, Alabama, the home of the Montgomery bus boycott. We are the masters of boycott. What did you learn from us? And what I learned from the Montgomery bus boycott is you don't have a boycott without an ask, he said. Oh, Lord. Bryant said even though he knows Adell was wrong and Bloomer is owed an apology, he urged black preachers and black businesses to come up with a solution to buy the network rather than simply pushing for a boycott. That I agree with. If they are unable to buy the network, now come on, y'all. All those big preachers, y'all can't buy this network? And then y'all all get on there together? Shit, ask Tyler Perry for some help. At least he's not asking for a seat at the table. And you're a Christian too. Maybe he can help out. Anyway. I'm not going to do an internet protest for likes. And if we're really about doing business, I want to do the business, he said. Okay, that's the end of the article. So I'm not going to go too hard on y'all. But I just want you guys to see why members of the black community that aren't Christian, they just want you guys to see this. Like, you standing and giving these people hugs. And they are literally pimping you. They're pimping you and your faith. Once again, I've said this before. I'm not here to change your religion or to get you to not believe in religion or to get you to believe in a religion. I'm not here for that. I'm here so we can unite on the common ground, which is the code. Okay? We unite under the code and defeat white supremacy. And you can't unite under the code if you're giving forgiveness to the same white folks that are oppressing you. In Jesus' name.